the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. My name is Danny Heifetz, and I am joined by Danny Kelly and Craig Horlbeck, and we are going over all the games from Sunday of Week 15. There's a ton to get to today. First, we have to get to Seahawks-Packers, where the Seahawks lost a really crazy game, and there's a ton to get to, but the real thing we have to get to.
The real story
is the fish toss.
I thought we're not going to start with just the biggest winner of the day, Danny Kelly.
Yeah, so I think the winner of the week is Danny Kelly, where I would say
my weekend was a lot better because of that poll. Thank God I did that poll.
So it's like DK gets one win and we all freak out? Like, come on, act like you've been here before.
Yeah.
Jeez, you won one poll.
So we had a large argument on Friday. I would say the largest argument we've had in literally months, basically that.
The largest argument we've had since the great pasta debate, which was only like 3 months ago, but yeah.
Anyway,
the pasta incident. Like
Craig and I lost. It was the whole argument whether they do the fish toss as B-roll for Seattle during the game, and we did a poll on whether you knew the fish toss was a thing during Seahawks games. And Craig and I we were like the Kamala Harris campaign. We lost every imaginable demographic by. It was pretty incredible. DK won the poll 75% to 25%.
He won the popular vote and the electorate.
We got the most votes in the history of the show. It was quite the turnout.
Big turnout.
Fuckers were signing up for Spotify so they can hate vote against you guys in this.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to shout him out because I think it's hilarious. Shout out to Howard. Howard, you literally don't listen on Spotify, and you're like, I downloaded the app, I reset my password because I couldn't remember it so I could vote in the poll. Yeah. That's democracy, baby.
God, I love that.
Yeah, so that was pretty brutal. That was absolutely brutal. And again, it was about whether, if you're wondering what this is, don't worry. It was really dumb. But I knew it was bad when the East Coast votes rolled in, and it was 75% the whole time. I was awake when it was 500 votes, and that was purely international, Australians, English, and the East Coast. And it was 75%, and it held for like the whole time. So
we're still waiting for a couple more votes to trickle in.
We're
still waiting for Arizona.
Yeah, waiting on the precincts.
They're tabulating California still. I don't know why they fucking take so long to vote.
I know the California ballots are forever.
I'm gonna sue the polling tech people at Spotify for sure.
Exactly. So we're still working on that. So
did we ever say what the poll results were?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He said 75-25.
Just checking.
I would say like the fish, it's kind of still a toss up. So anyway, DK.
Well, and they showed it for like the longest I feel like they've ever showed it.
Oh my God, they made a whole graphic around it.
That was not very long. No.
The guy threw it back. They probably threw it 6 times back and forth.
Not that I counted. It was 29 seconds. It was pretty long.
It was like really long. Awkward. It got awkward there for a while.
It was a little awkward. I felt like they were rubbing it in. Anyway.
It was more time than the Seahawks were winning.
I think what's his name? Not Collinsworth, the other guy. Tyrique. He was like, and of course, we have to come to the Pike Place Market.
His name?
Of course.
Is the Pike Place Market.
So, Packers rocked the Seahawks tonight, 30-13.
That's a silver lining for
Heifetz. The fish toss is the only reason I'm not like so sad right now.
I was going to say, it's funny where it's like you won and you're the winner and loser of the night. It's weird because this game is both really encouraging for Green Bay, discouraging for Seattle. Seattle also had a chance to win. I feel like in some ways this was the most affirming game of the season for Seattle because Geno Smith got hurt and then Sam Howell came in. It was immediately horrific, proving how good Geno Smith was.
Right.
And like, despite winning by 17, Seattle with 6 minutes left, very, 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 very much had a chance to go down and win.
Yeah,
Sam Howell immediately throws an interception. DK, where are you at on this Seahawks season, the Mike McDonald experience where you're still very much in the race for the NFC West? But you also kind of just I feel like this was the Packers smacking you around and clearly being a tier 1 NFC team, and you guys are clearly a tier 2 NFC team.
Yeah. No, that you kind of stole my line there because I was going to be like, the outcome of this game and like basically the vibes all around it was like the Packers are really, really good. And the Seahawks are just like, they're kind of good. You know what I mean? Like that's how I felt going into this game. And that's how it played out in the game. And honestly, like, they were in it late. If Geno had been in, who knows what had happened? I think this is, again, like you said, the silver lining is it's confirmation or whatever evidence that Geno Smith clearly elevates the people around him and does more with what he has, like in terms of like the offense line protection. I think obviously he still makes some bonehead plays. That pick in the red zone was a backbreaker, but yeah, it's tough. And now he's hurt, and I don't know if he's going to be back. Like the most we know right now is that he has a knee injury. It doesn't sound like it's structurally damaged, but he might miss some time. It's crunch time. They play the Vikings next week, the Bears, and then they finish with the Rams, and the Rams are on a freaking tear right now. So I think the Rams look like the favorites in this division, even though I think the Seahawks can still compete for it. It's not over by any means. But this was pretty demoralizing from are we good enough to compete with the really good teams in the NFL? I think the answer is clearly no, not on this one anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers. The Packers today, and we'll get to the Lions in a moment, but I think the Packers are just the sneaky Super Bowl team of the year. I mean, Craig's been on. I think Craig, did you pick the Packers to make the playoffs? Or sorry, make the Super Bowl? I mean,
I don't think so. I think I was Lions as well. But the reason why I think the Packers are a little bit under-recognized, just like in media, is because they're never on television. And I talked about this in like week 5. They're just not on primetime. And it's tough because the NFC North is so, everyone is obsessed with what the Lions are doing, and the Vikings are such an awesome story. And then even like Caleb Williams, there's nothing really like new and sexy in Green Bay. They're just like really good every week, and they're 10-4, and they haven't been on primetime a lot. But I totally agree. They're going to be probably the 3 seed in the NFC North. And I think they're going to be, if I'm not picking the Lions to make the Super Bowl in the NFC, other than Lions and Eagles, I think I would bet Green Bay.
Yeah, I you know what? I'm looking at this, and I got to tell you, I see a huge juxtaposition between Green Bay and Detroit right now. We'll get to the Bills in a moment, but the Lions, I got to tell you, I look at these games, and fundamentally, I look at Green Bay. I see sneakily one of the healthiest teams in the league, which we didn't think of the whole year because Jordan Love got hurt in the first game of the whole season.
It's all about
the receivers have been hurt all year.
Yeah. But you look at the current team where you have Romeo Doubs back. I know he's wearing the Guardian cap, but Dobbs is back. Watson missed time. He's back. Jaden Reed's banged up, but they're all back. And when they flashed that graphic tonight that the Packers have had 2 offensive line combinations all season, it's tied for the fewest in the NFL. Dude, they have everybody.
That's huge.
And then I look at the Lions, and I'm looking at the NFC, and I'm like, the Detroit Lions today, they are down. They entering this week, or maybe it was last week, they had 13 defenders on injured reserve in Detroit. That's just not what Super Bowl teams look like. Now, That doesn't mean the Lions can't make it, but 13 defenders on IR. And then, and that was entering today. Today, the Lions lost Aleem McNeil, who's their best remaining defensive lineman. Their best defender, probably. They lost Carlton Davis. For the season, I'm talking. Carlton Davis is their best cornerback. And they also, on top of that, lost another cornerback, Khalil Dorsey. That is 3 more starting players. That means and they're all probably out for the season. Dan Campbell didn't confirm it, but he was like, probably.
He said, yeah, it basically looks
He
bad.
said they're out for the season. Yeah. That is 15 defenders on injured reserve for the Lions, including 5 of their best 6 players on defense. That's like, I'm not saying the Lions can't make the Super Bowl, but functionally, they're kind of like the Bengals going forward, where they're just going to have to win every game 42-35. Like, there's no defense left in Detroit moving forward.
It's a bummer because remember, it was probably a month ago when we were like, if the Lions don't win the Super Bowl, the season is kind of a bust. Yeah. I don't know if I feel that way anymore because they're so injured. I mean, they have a very real excuse now if things don't work out. Like, the game today is going to have to be how they win games. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to have to just beat teams 42-35 every week because they used to be balanced. They used to have like a real defense that could pair with their offense. And now, I don't know. It's a lot of pressure on Goff. I mean, Goff had 400 yards and 4 touchdowns today.
He had 500 yards. Goff had 500 yards today.
So Goff has lost a game when he threw for 5 touchdowns and won a game when he threw for 5 picks.
Dude, the Tungsten O'Doyle stat of the day was literally Geno Smith. Jared Goff, first player in NFL history to throw for 400 plus yards, 5 plus touchdowns, and no interceptions in a loss. First player in history of the NFL.
And the irony for the Lions is Goff played so well, and I think Jared Goff did a lot of things everyone criticizes Goff for years, where, I mean, there was that play where they're down 21, and this is the whole thing with like, oh, well, how are you going to play when you can't just game script and you can't just like do play action and you're down points and you have to do a Mahomes-like comeback? Pressure right in his face, and Jared Goff ripped a giant, like a 50-yard touchdown pass to Jameson Williams.
Man.
Holding, called back. 1st and 20, 3rd and 17. He just throws another touchdown to Amon-Ra St. Brown. They almost come back. We'll get to the Lions like later in the show, but like just in terms of like how that game ended and Dan Campbell, a lot of coaching stuff. But just to button up Sunday Night Football, we've talked about the Lions as the Super Bowl favorite and the darling of the season for the whole season. And I still think they can do it. I'm not betting against Dan Campbell and the culture. The Lions' motto for the season is it takes more. And watching tonight with Sunday Night Football, I was struck.
Now it's we need more.
We need more.
Players.
We need more people. Yeah, it takes more people. That's the motto of the season. More people. 15. So I cannot help but think that today specifically was the inflection point of where the Lions and Packers in the season, or the trend lines met today.
That's really interesting.
In reality and in public perception, because the Packers, as you said, Craig, won on primetime, and the Lions losing to 3 of their best 4 remaining defenders in 2 of their best 3 in one day. I really do think that I would take the Packers to make the Super Bowl over the Lions as of right now.
It's funny that you're comparing the Lions and the Packers so much. Obviously, they're in the same division. But I had this thought today when I was watching the Packers. It was like the Packers offense. Obviously, LaFleur is an incredible play caller. They get a ton of buy-in from all their guys. Like, there were so many plays where they're doing like an end around or some sort of, like misdirection type play, and you see guys, the receivers blocking downfield and like really giving it their all. Like this is a really cool offense. I had the thought like this, like watching the Packers right now, because they're all like under 24 years old, watching them is like watching the Lions offense when they were like in high school. You know what I mean? Like they're not quite there. They're not like physically, ready to be in the NFL. And I think they still have to be like more disciplined and everything, but like they're just so close to being like this elite offense. And if they continue to build this core together, like in the year or like next year or the year after, or like this could be like the Lions type of offense.
And the irony is that the Lions, as it stands, started when they beat the Packers at the end of the Aaron Rodgers era on a meaningless Week 17 game for them, but it started the whole thing. So yeah, life, death, etc.
Did you know that the Packers they came into this game against the Seahawks third DVOA ahead of Buffalo and Philly? They were behind only Detroit and Baltimore. Like, this is a really good Packers.
Packers are the sleeping giant. Their defense is coming on a lot better as the season goes on, which they have no stars. I mean, Xavier McKinney is like one of their best players. And he's not famous. And Matt LaFleur is one of the best coaches in the NFL. So the Packers are a sleeping giant in the NFC. Winners and losers of Week 15. I mean, we're speaking of Lions. The winner of the day is Josh Allen. I think this is literally a month in a row. Tell me if I'm being hyperbolic. Stop me. I think I realized today that I will tell my grandchildren about Josh Allen.
Watch it in live.
Dude, the Bills beat Detroit 48-42. Josh Allen threw for 360 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns. He ran for 60 yards. He ran for another 2 touchdowns. So in the last 2 weeks, the Bills have 90 points. Josh Allen's accounted for 10 touchdowns. The Bills are in the middle. There are 8 straight games of 30 points. That is tied for the longest streak in NFL history. I will say that again. Tied for the longest streak in NFL history of consecutive 30-point games. We have been saying now for a month that Josh Allen's probably the MVP. Craig, you've been to the I was going to say caboose with the head of this train, conducting the train, Josh Allen MVP. I think that now undersells it. I think Josh Allen's one of the 4 best football players I've ever seen in my entire life. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Peyton Manning. I think Josh Allen's on the list as one of the 4 best football players I've ever seen. Period. He is unstoppable.
Where's Kyle Pitts on that list?
if you sort and filter like by accident, it's Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts are like they come up at the top with you got the arrow the wrong way.
Where does Lamar land on this? I think it's so funny because like right now it's like Lamar versus Allen. Lamar had like one of the greatest games I've ever seen him play today. Like, not to take anything away from
Lamar threw 5 touchdowns today, and they won by 21. But I think Josh Allen wrapped up MVP. I think that where we're at is
it's
with
a different.
It was playing the Giants. Like he didn't need to throw. Like Josh Allen needed to do everything he did today in order to win the game.
I know, 100%. I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think it's like literally, like Lamar was like almost perfect.
Well, I also think there's a little bit of like Lamar's won 2 MVPs already, and I think it's like this again. MVP's half a narrative award.
It's my turn.
I think Josh is having a better season than Lamar, but you could argue Lamar is having a better season than last year's MVP.
Right. Oh,
Lamar. We're always prisoners of the moment, but I don't think I felt this way in the past. I think that we're in a tennis moment where it just so happened that Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic were like 3 of the best 5 players in the history of tennis, and they all overlapped for their primes. I think Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Lamar are actually 3 of the best 6 quarterbacks ever. And I know it's hard to compare over eras. Like, I understand that. Sure. But at the same time, players are better over time. Like, I have respect for Dan Marino. I have respect for John Elway. Josh Allen, in many ways, is the modern John Elway. I have respect for Johnny Unitas. But, like, as Steve Kerr says, players are better over time. They don't get worse. Josh Allen is like the best, and Lamar is right there as 1B. I really keep watching Josh Allen. He's a perfect player, and there's one stat that to me, I keep thinking about. I heard it last week. I can't stop. Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley were taken in the same draft.
Wow.
Josh Allen has more touchdowns than Saquon Barkley. I do not mean passing. I mean rushing and receiving combined.
Wow.
Josh Allen has scored more touchdowns than Saquon Barkley.
Damn.
He's
cool.
a quarterback.
It's a good stat.
That's kind of a sneaky, shitty Giants stat right there.
Yeah. All right, but you get what I'm saying, though.
Totally.
You know how I know like Josh Allen is one of the greatest football players and will end up being one of the greatest football players ever is like, I think literally like one of the most impressive things I have ever seen or seen this season is like he did this slide at the end of a run today. And I was like, that was one of the most impressive athletic things I've ever seen in my life. He slid for like literally 10 yards. And then he like jumped up at the end and like kind of like did like a little first down.
He wins every play. He's like a creative player in a video game. He wins every play. And frankly, we're on this stretch. I think it's as memorable a month as I can remember a player having between he outplayed Mahomes in the Chiefs, beat them. I don't even remember that. Niners in the snow, epic. The week he got engaged. And then last week with the Rams-Bills game that they should have won. And then this week, and I'm like, I don't even know. Like there's an 07 month with Brady, I guess. Peyton in 2013. That month, Derrick Henry had like 100 points. Todd Gurley had a month. I'm like, there were very few months where a player I think was more memorable.
Also, the play that didn't even count when he like flipped
chest pass,
like the chest pass touchdown.
And he not only did he chest pass,
he
chest passed, and then like Steph, who was just like hit Clay in the corner and then turned around because he knew was it Kincaid was going to catch it.
Yeah.
Not only that, he also had 40 plus fantasy points today. Again, he has the best 2-week stretch in fantasy history. Last week he had the best day. Well,
actually, can I correct you on that?
Sure.
Tristan Cockcroft at ESPN had the stat. Josh Allen has 93 points in the last 2 weeks. I already know who
it's going to be.
Which is the 5th most across any 2-game span.
It's the most among quarterbacks, though.
Yeah, fine. But Craig, do you know in the history of the NFL since 1950, do you know who has the most fantasy points in a 2-game stretch? Josh Allen is 5th.
Cloyce Box.
Yes. Literally, yes. It's Cloyce Box.
Not his brother Boyce.
Is #1, baby.
Not his wife Fern.
Fern Box.
Fern Box.
Fern was so proud of him.
Fern just over there fawning on the sidelines.
She made him the biggest pecan pie after.
Should we go through the Wikipedia? Wait, we have to explain this to people, with your listeners. So Cloyce Box, if you go to his Wikipedia, his pictures of painting.
What team was he on? I don't even remember.
The Lions?
Was he?
The Frankfurt Yellow Jackets.
The Lions. Sentinels.
No, what was he on, actually?
I don't know.
He went from West Texas A&M
Pittsburgh
to the
Pirates?
the Dodgers. No, he went to the Lions. Bobby Lane.
Lions.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God! And then, sorry.
Colts.
1950. He had the most fantasy points ever. In 1951, he went to the Korean War.
Do you think there were people playing
on Team USA?
Do you think there were people playing fantasy in the 60s, like low key?
No. It was invented in like 1962. That's why the stats are it doesn't matter though. Cloyce Box is a veteran.
Do you guys think? You know what's cool about Josh Allen is, I don't know if people are ever going to turn on him, like the non-Buffalo people, just other fans. I think people have turned on Mahomes. I don't know if people could turn on Allen. Like, no matter how many Super Bowls they win, how many MVPs he wins, I just think he's like so likable. I don't know if he can turn heel.
Dude,
Fast
this was
forward to
America's
August
game.
and Heifetz's take purge. I think people are going to turn on Josh Allen.
Maybe that's the right take. But I just think he's so lovable. I'm not sure he could be a heel.
I like that, yeah.
Anyone could be a heel these days. However, I think you're right in that if you were to draft really famous players that you think people would turn on, Josh Allen would.
He's very low.
Yeah. So anyway, Josh, he's the winner. He's the winner of the football season, to be honest. They just need to win the Super Bowl. And again, I would love to watch a Lions-Bills Super Bowl. This
also,
was an
the Bills.
game.
I heard a stat today. The only other time a team has scored 40 points and given up 40 points in back-to-back games was the 1966 New York Giants.
Wow.
Dude.
And the Bills did that last 2 weeks. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, just don't say that word in front of me.
Shredded by Cloyce.
Cloyce is shredding the Giants. All right, so Bills are the winner, Lions are the loser. The DK, who else is your loser for today?
I had Anthony Richardson / Jonathan Taylor / the Colts / basically everyone who drops the ball before the goddamn goal line. How does this keep happening?
Has it ever happened twice in a week?
I don't know.
Here's the thing. He's a running back.
He should know better.
This is a receiver ass move from a running back.
Or like a punt returner.
Yeah, punt returner, defenders.
The other guy who did it was a safety.
Right.
Running backs cross the goal line all the time. Like
especially Jonathan Taylor.
He scored so many touchdowns. It's like usually I haven't been there before thing. And I will say, Deshaun Jackson invented this. He did it in prime time his rookie year. But that was November. This was the fantasy playoffs. People are never going to forget this.
Also, by the way, the context of that play is pretty funny. Not like I'm saying this is how the game would have gone if he hadn't have fumbled at that point.
Also, wait, can you please recap the play, DK? It was a 41-yard touchdown.
It was like going to be like he broke a run. I think it was like 50 yards. I can't remember off the top of my head how long it was, but it was like a really long, very impressive run. Basically, let go of the ball right before passing the goal line, and it ended up being a touchback because the ball fell into the end zone out of bounds. So no points, in other words.
If you're going to let go of the ball, do you go forward or backwards? You toss it behind you, or do you toss it forward?
I think the answer is you're blacking out. I think the answer is like you're just not like there's no memory. Like you don't.
If you go backwards, you at least give your team a chance to recover it. So maybe that's the move. You go backwards.
I have a question. Is it even cool when you like cross the goal line and you just drop the ball? Like, why do people keep doing this?
I think because it's supposed to be like
cool.
It's supposed to be like I am so far away from the next defender that I can drop the ball. Like I'm so secure in this touchdown that I can just drop the ball. I think is like the mindset.
I also think a key part of it is you have so much time to realize you're going to score that like you actually get to think about it. You actually start like by the time it's like when when a guy drops a catch because he's so open
it's like,
that he starts thinking about what movie he's going to make. Like I think that you start thinking about what you're going to celebrate at the 5-yard line because you
totally. You literally slow down at the 5 and you start the celebration early.
And so like you get to the 1, it's because you've been thinking about it. No one like does this when there's people around. It's only when you have like clear runway.
I just can't believe how often this has happened. Like it is the most inexplicable thing I've ever heard of. Like, why are you letting go of the ball? Just carry it. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever if you carry it another yard.
Oh my God.
It makes no difference.
I'm trying to think of an equivalent, like in everyday life or even in casual sports. Like I'm trying to think of something I can relate to this to. And I can't. I don't know.
For the context of the play, so if he would have just held on to it for another yard, the Colts would have gone up at that point 20-7. Instead, after that fumble, the Broncos rattle off 24 straight points.
Yeah, they got the doors blown off them. Yeah,
and the Colts playoff odds basically did the exact same thing. Like the Colts losing means they're like a 15% chance to make the playoffs. Now, if they would have won, it would have been 75.
You never want to blame a loss on a single player, especially when you lost by more than one score. However, the vibes did in fact crater. And to your point, DK, you also mentioned Anthony Richardson. This was, to your point, this was basically a playoff game for everything we mentioned on the front. Where basically the Colts won.
Anthony Richardson is a winner because what Jonathan Taylor completely took the blame away from Anthony Richardson. He played fucking terrible today.
Well, shout out. He did the 17 for 38. Hey.
Yeah, he did.
Hey,
Fetty Wap,
17. He did the Fetty Wap, which you don't ever want as a completion, like your completions and attempts. You never want to Fetty Wap your attempts.
You don't want that in any way in football. There's no scenario in which 17-38 is good. 17 carries, 38 yards is bad. It's never good.
Maybe if you win 38-17, like you don't want to Fetty Wap. So Anthony Richardson Fetty Wapped. It kind of looked worse than the 44% completion looks. Well, in a box
he's
just
score. When he misses so terribly. It's one of those things.
He's kind of like he kind of is like a new, he's a new quarterback. He's kind of like a new golfer. Like he reminds me of like my friend Jackson, who's like a wicked, like good athlete learning to play golf. And it's like when he hits it, I'm like, fuck, you can hit it 320. Yeah. But like most of the time he doesn't.
Yeah. It's like a football player. My brother-in-law's a football player. Whenever he plays golf, 1 out of every 5, he fucking crushes it. And I'm like, dude, if you ever figured this out, you will be the greatest golfer of all time.
How many times have you played? Never. It's my first time.
It's my first time. That's how I feel about Anthony Richardson. I think he's the strongest quarterback I've ever seen. Legit. I think he's number one.
Remember the Titans. He's too strong.
Every week there's a play. Today, he got sacked 3 times on one play and just threw the guy off of him each time and somehow got a pass off.
Yeah.
Nobody can do that.
shout out to someone who I don't know if they want me to name them, so I'm going to not name them. But someone pointed out to me today a thing about Anthony Richardson that I has really hit something I've been noticed and I haven't been able to put a name on. Anthony Richardson is way too comfortable throwing passes while guys are holding him. Like defenders mid tackle, like Anthony Richardson.
Does he even notice? Like if
he
someone's
doesn't
on him?
like there. I've never seen a quarterback try to throw more frequently while people are actively trying to tackle him.
He's like a dad at like a 3-year-old birthday party. All the kids are just hanging all over him.
On him.
And he's just picking them off one by one.
What I think that he probably did that a lot in high school, where like he was so much bigger than everyone that he could like stiff arm a defensive end who he's larger than and just throw and make it. That like he tries to do that in the NFL. Like that doesn't work. But he like, so it's like he doesn't seek contact, but he doesn't really avoid it as much as he should. It's like weird. Like he's in the pocket and he's like, oh, that guy hits me, it'll be fine. He throws anyway. I'm like, what are you doing? Anyway, I'm a little worried about him. Not gonna lie.
He's the worst quarterback who I thoroughly enjoy watching every week.
Yeah.
I want him to start for 10 years because he's so fun to watch.
Yeah. I don't want him to go away, but
it's really fun.
I don't think
meanwhile, Bo Nix, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. This was
he played
a wild ass game.
Dude, this is I don't know how both these quarterbacks coming off a bye had the worst games I've seen them play all year. Or Richardson, he's had some tough ones, but this was the worst game Bo Nix played all year. And I'm like, get a bye. I don't know what the hell. But yeah, Broncos won 31-13. So the Broncos won. While we're here, AFC playoff race is like over, which is nuts for the most part. I know the Chargers ended up getting crushed, but still, it's probably going to be 3 teams in the AFC West: Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs, probably. And then it's going to be Texans winning the AFC South, Chiefs winning the AFC West, Bills winning the AFC East. Like we have the 7 teams. It's December 16th right now.
Steelers, Ravens. Yep.
Steelers, Ravens. Like we know the teams. We'll see the seeds. But like we know the teams. I've been doing this I've been doing football 10 years. I can't ever remember like knowing the playoff teams 3 weeks left to go.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and it's a blessing for the Chiefs, I feel like, that they're going to be able to rest Mahomes, I think, because Mahomes hurt his ankle today. It didn't look good. Mm-hmm. And my guess is it doesn't look like he's going to play next week. There's like a chance that he doesn't play again until the playoffs.
Well, I was going to say, yeah. So my loser is the Chiefs because, dude, so Mahomes got a high ankle sprain, up 14 points in the fourth quarter.
Brutal.
And so the Chiefs, look, they ended up winning 21-7. And I will say, the caveat to all this, every year Mahomes has a serious lower leg injury, the Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
True.
Like he dislocated his patellar tendon in 2019. They won the Super Bowl. 2 years ago, Eagles, he had a high ankle sprain, ran for fucking 44 yards in the Super Bowl with high ankle sprain, the same injury. But how many things can you pile on to this goddamn team? And like when he was like being lifted off I don't know about you guys, but when you're watching football and you see Mahomes limping, doesn't time stop?
Oh yeah. It's very scary.
And so I had my intrusive thought was like when I saw him limping, I was like, oh fuck, what if this whole thing like is over and we didn't really?
Yeah, no, because it is like so monumental, like season change, like the story of the season just changed,
era
like,
changing. All these characters we talk about are characters of the Mahomes story, and I saw him limping off today. I was like, fuck, what if he peaked?
Okay,
I'm not saying he did, or I think that, but I'm saying I thought that, like a thought fluttered across my mind. It was like, oh my God, what if like this is over? And that's not. I know it's not, but
and then the prophecy fulfills itself where Carson Wentz now comes in as a backup. Like it to him.
I will say we are so close to the Carson Wentz running the Chiefs three-peat.
Yeah.
And like we joked about this a few weeks ago, but Carson Wentz reverse Nick Folesing. And don't forget the whole Nick Foles thing started with because he was on the Chiefs and like retired, went to the Eagles. Carson Wentz leaving the Eagles and then roundabout getting to the Chiefs and leading a three-peat would be the craziest fucking thing ever.
That would be weird.
But anyway, so
he'll be fine.
Chiefs are a loser. Craig, who do you have as a loser?
Andy Reid said he wanted to go back in. He's fine.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, okay, he said that, but Mahomes said about the injury, it's hard to say right now. You still have the adrenaline rolling. It's usually kind of the day after when you get a good sense of it. I feel like I could have finished the game, wanted to put Carson in. You just do. He said, now just get back to the rehab part, the treatment part.
It didn't look great. And I know Mahomes kind of prepares himself to be bent in every which way, but it did look pretty weird. The Vegas,
load or whatever, high load or whatever.
Yeah. And the spread suggests he's not playing next week. They're playing the Texans, and the Texans are favored in that game.
Yeah. Craig, who's your loser for the week?
It's got to be the Steelers for me, unfortunately. Disappointing game. I I can't tell if it was a worse game for the Steelers or a better game for the Eagles, a better win for the Eagles, because I was really impressed with the Eagles. But this was my fear with the Steelers. Like, kind of what we were saying with Seattle, where I'm like, I don't think the Steelers are a tier 1 team. Like, I just don't. I know they beat the Ravens and stuff, but like, I don't think they are an actual contender. I think they are a wild card team, and I probably think they're going to end up being the wild card, to be honest, and not win the AFC North. But I mean, today was an ugly game for them. They had 163 yards on offense, which is the fewest in a game since 2010 for Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Their leading rusher was 14 yards.
6 rushes for 14 yards.
Najee Harris, 14 yards leading rusher. Najee had a brutal fumble that hurt the game. They also got 2 fumbles from Philly and couldn't convert on those.
That was such a tough. You could see Tomlin losing his mind that they clearly on defense executed perfectly, where like they just thought the Eagles were vulnerable to the ball and they punched the ball out. And they couldn't get a first down after any of the turnovers.
I thought Hurts played a really good game, to be honest. I thought he was really good with his legs when he needed it. He was great throwing the ball. And they can just eat clock. Saquon wasn't even healthy this game. He was beat up. Dude, do you know the last drive of this game was the Eagles had a 22-play, 10-minute drive that got them 88 yards to end the game.
Dude, that's
22 plays. And it's just first down, second down, third down, first down. Dude, and they did that for 10 minutes.
Damn.
22 plays. In the first half today, the Saints had 38 yards.
Dude, the Steelers had 2 drives in the second half.
Are you serious?
2.
Oh my God, you're right.
2 drives in the second half.
I'm just like
22 plays.
Yeah.
Wait, is that has to be the longest drive in years?
I feel like the Chiefs did that a couple years ago. There was a really long Chiefs one, or maybe
22 is
that's
a
really
lot.
up there. Anything more
22
than
is high.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, TJ Watt got hurt. He just said he sprained his ankle, but that's not great. We really miss George Pickens. I don't know. This team doesn't have the offensive firepower. We're throwing a Calvin off.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking this whole time is like, this team really misses Pickens. And like the depth at receiver for a Steelers team that is renowned for being like the best, evaluators of receivers in the last like 20 years. Like Calvin Austin, Ben Skoranek, Mike Williams, Van Jefferson, and Scotty Miller caught passes today. Like that is like a wild, like terrible.
What happened to Mike Williams?
Depth.
Mike Williams is not a thing.
He tore his ACL.
He's just been hurt too much, man. Yeah.
I
guess.
Is
the year after. It's not the year after the year after. It's
but
tore his ACL last year.
I understand that, but he is like irrelevant. And it's been over a year since the ACL. He's not even
just got here
getting targets.
Ago. He was on the fucking Jets 6 weeks ago.
I don't know, man. I'm surprised he's not worked into the offense a little more, even if he's just running straight and getting deep balls. Like they're not even doing that.
You don't think Aaron Rodgers making fun of him on Pat McAfee for like 3 weeks in a row helped his confidence?
I might be Team Rodgers on this now. Maybe I see his point.
Aaron's got a point.
We got lay off of Mike Williams, man. He's a role player. That's all.
Oh my God.
You can't expect too much.
He tore his ACL in week 3 last year. It's been 14 months.
You should tell him that. You should DM him that on Instagram. Come on, Mike.
I love Mike Williams. He is like
last year.
One of our favorite guys on this show, but I'm like, I don't know why can't he just run straight and we throw him deep balls? And why aren't we doing that?
Don't actually DM players on Instagram. That's like the worst thing ever. Okay. Yeah, so I agree, Craig. It's a tough loss. It's a reality check. And again,
they're playing Baltimore next week.
I'm worried.
Then they're playing the Chiefs, and then they're playing the Bengals.
I'm worried the Eagles are going to make the Super Bowl. And I see Saquon holding the Super Bowl MVP trophy. Like I see it in my dreams when I look into the flames.
In your nightmares.
They can just evaporate clock. It is crazy.
Dude,
God, dude, Nick Sirianni standing there with the fucking
seriously good.
I can't think of a worse.
They're the best
outcome.
roster, like head to toe in the league.
So just so everyone knows, also to give a shout, we're going to be live after the Super Bowl. We're gonna have a live show. We're going to be in studio in Los Angeles, and we're going to go live after the Super Bowl, and so you can tune in and watch our show live. And I can't think of a worse outcome for me personally than Nick Sirianni holding the fucking trophy up. And
you mean Nick Sirianni,
MVP,
one of the winningest coaches of all time,
top 5 in winning percentage all time.
He is 5th highest winning percentage of any coach in the NFL. He's 46-19 in 3 seasons. The 4 guys ahead of him,
history of the NFL, not currently.
Of the NFL, correct. Yes. The 4 guys in front of him: Guy Chamberlain, who was in the 1920s, so that really doesn't count. John Madden, heard of him? Vince Lombardi and George Allen are the 3 guys in front of him in terms of.
Can't we relax?
Percentage.
Like, how many seasons has he been the head coach? Like 5?
3, 4.
What? I mean, has he played 60 games as
a
head coach?
Lombardi only
He's
coached
46-19.
Lombardi only coached 9 seasons.
I know Lombardi was 59 through 69. John Madden was 69 through 78.
Well, those guys also, you know,
and then times. George Allen was 66 through 77. So none of these guys have like a really long timeline. Obviously, over time,
I think there's a little bit of he hasn't been doing it for that long, and also he got handed like the best.
No one thinks he's John Madden.
Whatever.
It's just a funny thing to say. Craig.
He's one of the greatest coaches of all time. What are you talking about?
It's a good line at parties.
What are you fucking talking about? Give him his due. Give him his flowers.
Yeah. Swap Mike McDonald for him right now, right?
One of the greatest coaches of all time, Nick Sirianni.
Craig, who else are your winners?
The big boys of the day, our doughboys, the thick men, all the big boys, our big beefy boys, Tavondre Sweat, Dan Skipper, Jonah Williams. I feel like I'm John Gruden. Tavondre Sweat, D tackle, 6'4", 362 pounds,
stiff arm.
Literally though, today was the day for you know the big boys. Tavondre Sweat, Dan Skipper, Jonah Williams and the Cardinals.
This was a thick day
on the Texans. Sam Hubbard, the DN for the Bengals, caught a touchdown. Tavondre Sweat, 362 pounds.
That was impressive.
It was week 15.
Week 15. I'll accept that. That's good. Go. That passes.
I'll accept that.
That passes. On the binary scale, that passes. Pass fail. You do Tavondre Sweat had like a 30-yard fumble return, stiff arm somebody,
big boy,
rumbling along, and then legitimately like face planted to the ground.
And then it registered on the Richter scale.
The camera like shook.
Yes. Like the water in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, dude, the Lions tackled Dan Skipper is 6'9". Caught a touchdown today.
Dude, opening fish big.
Dan Skipper.
Dude, and you know what I loved about that? I feel like 99% of the offensive line throws I've ever seen are at the 1 or the 2 yard line, and they bring in like 2 extra offensive linemen, and one's eligible, and they kind of just like do a play action, and then a guy just runs like a fade basically, and he's uncovered and
already in the end zone.
The only 2 offensive line plays I've ever seen where they expected yards after the catch.
They like threw Dan Skipper a screen.
Yeah, they threw him a fucking, like he actually had to run and like break a tackle. And
he like slipped into the flat on like the 8.
And the only, like he literally, and he like had to crunch a guy, and the defender just like, it was like he was blocking for himself. It was epic. And the other team I've ever seen do that is the Lions this season with the Penei Sewell play.
Yeah.
When they gave Penei Sewell the ball, and they were like, all right, go run Penei Sewell, see if you get 60 yards. Seems nuts.
Yeah, my winner are all the healthy men out there.
Dude. Oh, I also I actually loved the Cardinals one, Jonah Williams, the tackle. I've always wanted this to happen where a lineman recovers a ball in the end zone. And he did it like he was like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, like rolling through lasers in a bit. Like he caught it and he got the ball exactly. I don't know if he had 6 extra inches of grass to establish possession. And he like barrel rolled, like stop, drop, and roll out. But he paused long enough to get possession. And I was like, I don't know.
It was like
Tom
the guy
Cruise
from
in Mission Impossible, like doing the thing hanging over the.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I was going to say the dude in Ocean's 12, the Asian guy trying to get the egg going through all the moving lasers.
No, that was the French guy.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. You think we need one more?
One more what?
Think we need one more? We'll get one.
Oh
more.
yeah, think we need one more. We'll get one more.
We'll get one more. Okay. Any other winners, losers?
I want to give Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers a winner here. Absolute ass whooping of the Chargers, 40-17. Statement win for the Buccaneers. I felt like. I mean, the Chargers are a pretty good team. Obviously, they're a little banged up, but the Buccaneers are like. I don't know what the deal is with them, because I don't necessarily think Baker Mayfield is like awesome. He has like 16 turnovers. That's tied for second most in the NFL. But like when they get going, man, their offense can really just freaking score like at will. And they did that today. Baker was 22 of 27, 288 yards, 4 touchdowns. Mayfield has 32 touchdowns this season. And he's the QB5 in fantasy.
I'm sorry. Can you fucking say that again? Baker Mayfield has 32 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It is week 15.
He's been incredible. Like
the Browns got rid of him 4 years ago.
Oh my God. The Rams. He was on the Rams for a minute, wasn't he? I'm like
trying
to remember.
Yeah, he won a Thursday football game on 40 hours notice.
He was borderline out of the league.
Yeah, he's had a crazy ass career.
Odell Beckham's dad was Instagrammed him off the Cleveland Browns. Odell Beckham's dad was like literally just posting videos of Baker missing throws. By the way, he had a shoulder injury. And I don't know, Baker, I think we talk all the time about nature nurture. The Baker Renaissance, we talked about Bryce Young having his best game since Alabama. Baker, DK, you talked about this a couple weeks ago, how Baker's having fun. Baker is like Oklahoma Baker again. Like, this is who we thought he was when the number one pick in the draft
He
happened.
is ripping passes. He, like, rips passes more than any other quarterback. I don't know how to describe that. I don't know how to define it. But, like, when you watch Baker Mayfield, he's fucking ripping passes the entire fucking game. Just ripping them down the seam. I swear
he plays like he's in, like, a college intramural league, and he's fucking awesome.
Fucking P-rods.
He does.
Down the field. Just piss rods. The Bucks had 506 yards. I got this from Jenna Lane. They had 506 yards of offense.
Oh my God.
That is the third most allowed by any Jim Harbaugh NFL team ever.
Wow.
He's only given up 500 yards 3 times in games. Harbaugh has. And typically he has really good defenses. The Chargers have had one of the better defenses in the NFL this year. Like, and again, he was just ripping passes down the seam all day long. Every time I look up, he's just ripping a pass.
I think Baker is the worst quarterback you're still okay with being the quarterback of your team.
He's gonna create 2 head coaches.
You think? Who is worse than Baker that you're still happy is the quarterback on your team?
I mean, I think there's other guys.
I mean it as a compliment. Like, he's good, and like my point is that like there are no Bucks fans saying I don't want Baker back next year. But I think he's
not like acceptable. You're saying like everyone would want to keep him.
Everybody would want to keep him, but he is the worst quarterback in that category. Like Kyler Murray, Geno Smith. I don't know. He's somewhere in there, but I think everybody's like, look, yeah, we're going to run it with Baker as long as we can.
The irony of like the Baker Mayfield career arc is that he is, after all the tumult that he had in Cleveland and wherever else he went, Carolina, LA, he's going to end up getting Canales hired as a head coach and probably Liam Cohn next year as a head coach. Like, Baker Mayfield is a kingmaker. He's a coach maker. It's just kind of wild because like you would have thought of him as like a guy who gets everybody fired.
At first it was like, wow, what did Canales do? How did he do it? And now it's like, maybe it's Baker.
Yeah,
dude. Again, Baker is like the good example of like actually every team he was with was crazy.
Yeah.
Like the Browns are like the crazy X.
But also like he played terribly when he was with those teams too at times.
Well, you know what? Maybe it's the Cleveland fucking Browns are the problem.
I agree with that.
Maybe it's the fucking bad teams.
I don't know, dude. Every other quarterback since for the Browns has been pretty good.
Speaking of Baker, the I Am Become Death Oppenheimer Award for player went nuclear. Dude, Mike Evans, while we're at it, Mike Evans, number 2 receiver on the day. He was outrageous.
Mike Evans back on his bullshit. He's back from his hamstring injury.
Every year,
every game, he has like 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 160 today, 2 touchdowns, wide receiver 2 on the week. Week in and week out, this guy is like a sitcom. Like,
there's no player that would be more famous if they played in a cooler market in the NFL than Mike Evans.
Do you guys
if a New York Jet had done what Mike Evans has done in his career, they would be everywhere.
Also, he missed a month. He has that streak of every season of his career. He's had 1,000 yards. I think he's still going to hit it. He only needs to average 84 yards a game.
Was it last year or the year before when Brady, he had like 203 yards in week 17 to hit it? And he just like, he entered with 799 and he got 1,000. Like, you're right. He might do it. He's crazy.
You know what Mike Evans reminds me of? He's like when I turn on the NBA now after having not watched it in a long time. And there's like, Luka is like this gigantic guy who plays point guard and like does this weird stuff. And then it's like all these really abnormally shaped people playing positions that they shouldn't be playing.
What, like, you think he's too big? Mike Evans?
Jokic is like Mike Evans.
When I watch him play football, I'm like, this guy is too tall. He's too fucking gangly. But then he catches like 14 passes for 280 yards and 4 touchdowns.
It's like watching Brooke Lopez take a 3. You're like, what?
What?
It's like,
this can't be right.
He looks out of place. He's one of the greatest receivers ever, but like he just like looks uncoordinated and gangly.
Every time I watch Joel Embiid shoot, I'm like, this can't work, and it goes in. And I'm like, man, that's impressive.
Yeah. I just think it's so funny. It's like, this is not what I remember football looking like. It's just this guy, this shouldn't be a receiver. He's too tall.
We're making some crazy people these days.
I know we've done this. How many quarterbacks in the NFL are you sure would be better than Nikola Jokic if he got like 3 weeks to practice?
Baker?
I have 14.
The Baker line.
I think there's 14 quarterbacks I'm like sure would be better than Jokic.
The Baker's dozen. There's a dozen quarterbacks above Baker.
Okay. Nothing funnier to me, again, as someone who doesn't really follow the NBA, people who impersonate Jokic, like the way he moves and stuff is like the funniest thing I've ever seen. He's just like all like wonky looking and
shooting it behind his head. Doesn't even touch the rim.
Absolutely fucking dime pass like all the way across the
He might
the
be
court.
the most unguardable person I've ever seen. Like if he can't do anything, he's like, I'm 7'2" and I'll just shoot it over your head and it'll go in every time.
I love that the way to guard Jokic is like, we'll just guard your teammates, score 60, bitch. And then he's like, all right, fine.
Okay.
Like,
fine.
Yeah.
All right.
So begrudgingly.
He literally releases the ball at like 7'4". Like, I don't know what are you gonna do?
Oh my God.
I love
the
it.
other Oppenheimer, Devontae Adams is the only guy who outscored Mike Evans today. 9 catches, almost 200 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns for Devontae Adams. Number one fantasy receiver of the day.
Just a vintage game.
I have a crazy stat for Adams. I don't know if you guys saw it.
I think, I probably have this. Yeah, you want to go for it? I'm sure we have the same one.
He had 135 receiving yards in the final 4 minutes of the game, which is the most by any player in a game this century.
And probably ever.
Wow.
135 yards in the final 4 minutes. That is unbelievable.
It's nuts.
He had like a
absolutely
71-yard
ridiculous.
touchdown. Like, I don't know how many minutes were
It's
left.
also, it's 20 fantasy points in the final 4 minutes as well.
Dude, he's still fucking good.
Points.
Like when Devontae wants it, he's
so good.
Right there.
Also, like it was like such a vintage Rodgers to Devontae game too, because it was like every time Rodgers like went up to the line, he's like, hey, I'm just gonna throw it to you, man.
Well,
like,
he wanted to
run a fade.
He wanted to get Devontae 100 touchdowns, right? He was forcing it to him in the red zone.
Austin pointed this out to me earlier today. Do you think that this is more annoying for Jets fans to see? That like it would have worked if they had just like done the Devontae trade earlier?
Didn't they do it in like week 5?
Yeah, if they'd done it in fucking March. Like, isn't it more annoying if you're a Jets fan to see like, oh, there actually is something here? Like, it would have been better if it flamed out.
Can I give you my intrusive thought?
Please.
Run it back.
Oh my God.
I think they should run it back.
I knew it.
Stop.
I don't know, dude.
I actually really like this take.
Jets won today. Rodgers, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. He ran for 45. There's a little bit of juice there. It's kind of fun.
Year after the year after.
What are you going to do? Year after the year after? What are you going to do? Get Sam Darnold next year? Draft some shitty quarterback? Like, this is what you got to do. Convince yourself that 7 of your 10 losses, they were by an average of 3 points. So just convince yourself that you're really like a 500 team. If you want, draft a guy, let him sit behind Rodgers. Maybe Rodgers will then win the MVP like he did with Jordan Love. Get Mike Vrabel. Let's run it back and have a good time. This is fun.
I will say, Jets 7 losses by 6 points or fewer this season, which is the most in team history.
They have 7 of those. 7 of their 10 losses are by an average of 3 points.
Which means they're close.
And so if you flip half of those losses to wins, they would be 7
or 8 wins.
Almost 500.
You're telling me there's a chance.
No, oh my God, dude.
What are you gonna do?
I'm
What are you
so
gonna do?
curious.
I love this take.
Dude, Jets fans.
I was watching and I was like, fuck it. Let's do it again.
I think usually I have a decent sense of what fans think of what we're saying, whether they agree with us or not. I honestly have no idea if Jets fans listening to this are insulted or like intrigued. I have no idea.
My thinking is like, what else are you going to do?
Is 100% the answer. What else are you going to fucking do?
What else are you going to do?
That's what I was saying about the Giants and Belichick, where people are like, yeah, obviously could go wrong. He's 72 years old.
You going to trade for Kirk Cousins, the other guy who tore his Achilles? Like, what are you going to do?
Rodgers has more touchdowns than Mahomes does this year. Just say it.
Right. What are they going to do?
He has 23 touchdowns to 8 picks.
And you know what? When he's still having fun out there. Like, he yells at people when it's not going well, but when they're scoring and stuff, he's having a good time. He still looks like he enjoys the game. I'll say that.
Who coaches the team? We'll talk about that this week, but who coaches the... All right, you know what, Craig?
Can they wait to put out the doc until like next year?
They should film another year. Film another offseason.
Just season 2.
Wherever he's going, to the Amazon rainforest, wherever he goes next, just film that in the offseason.
He is 7th in the NFL in touchdown passes.
Is he really?
Yeah. He has 23 touchdown passes, same as Jordan Love, 2 less than Josh Allen.
Well, that's the most touchdown passes ever in a team where everyone's fucking miserable.
Rodgers, 23 touchdowns, 8 picks.
20, the touchdown to misery like ratio is that
the Eagles are number
high.
1, obviously.
Yeah.
Other Oppenheimer, I mean, I mentioned the Lions. Goff, almost 500 yards, 5 touchdowns. I mean, second most yards in Goff's career. I mentioned that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, number 3 receiver in the day, 190 yards and a touchdown. Insane.
14 catches.
14 catches for Amon-Ra.
14
So
catches.
anyway, we mentioned the Lions. Crazy. Okay, it's so over. We're so back.
Hold on. We didn't talk about Lamar Jackson.
We did.
Oh, did we? I didn't give my spiel on him.
All right, yeah, sure.
I didn't know you
okay,
have a spiel.
You know what? Sure, DK, fine.
Are you going to
tell me about
make
your game, DK?
What are you going to do? Make the case that he's good?
Yes. I mean,
Okay.
36 points in fantasy, and we're not going to talk about him? Come on. Let's do this.
We
All
said
right, sure.
for five touchdowns
Fine. I'll do my fucking Ravens notes. Let's see here. What do I got here? Giants, 17.5 point underdogs. Biggest spread for the Giants in the Super Bowl era. Did they cover that? No.
Close.
Did a plane fly over the stadium that said, Mr. Mara, enough. We won't stop until you fire everyone? That one hit over half. Yes, there was one plane that had a banner begging the Maras to fire everybody.
I really like plane advertising as a way to get out a message.
Is this still
I love that, actually.
Dude,
I think it's really cool.
It's the least efficient.
Giants lost this game. I know.
I just love the idea of a guy being like, I'm going to do it myself.
Do you think we could get a... No, it's probably too expensive. The Ravens won 35-14. I think what's tough is, like, I don't think the defense quit on the game. I think they just are bad.
Yeah, Brian Burns was, like, fired up. He got a sack, and he was, like, juiced. So he was trying.
He's good.
I wanted to point something out about Lamar Jackson, since obviously, he's having an incredible year. We have to mention him. 36 points in fantasy today. I understand it was against a bad team, but if you look at his full season, would you be surprised if I told you Lamar actually is second in the NFL in fantasy points purely from passing?
He has like 3 interceptions on the whole season.
Only Joe Burrow has more passing fantasy points. And by the way, Lamar also has 743 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns. He's the QB1 in fantasy, just ahead of Josh Allen. I just wanted to point out, like, he's been absolutely incredible, not just as a runner, like one of the best passers, period, in the NFL.
It is crazy that he's the QB1 in fantasy and not Josh Allen. I think that is a crazy
34 touchdowns, 3 picks.
I really think Mahomes is Federer, and like Lamar is Nadal, and like Josh Allen's Djokovic, and they're actually going to be like 3 of the 6 or 7 best players ever, and they're all just overlapping. Because again, it's funny. Lamar's Josh Allen won the MVP today, and Lamar threw 5 touchdowns, and again, Stephen Maurice pointed this out a couple years ago that Mahomes had reached a level where Mahomes at one point had 4 touchdowns and a half, and the NFL didn't make him a YouTube highlight package for the game. And I thought that was like a really great note of how good Patrick Mahomes is. Like, I'm curious if Lamar has, I haven't checked, but like Lamar's kind of on that level where it's like, you're not even going to see much of this game like anywhere. It's like relatively. And I'm like, yeah, well,
it is wild.
It's a pretty good game. He had 5 touchdowns and 4 fucking incompletions. Yeah, well, all right.
He also had one run where he was like pulling up his pants the entire time.
I saw that.
I thought he like hurt his hip, and I was like, oh God, no, he got hurt. And it turns out he just was trying not to let his pants fall down.
Why would his pants fall down, baby?
He's thin as bones. He doesn't eat anything.
Too much shit, like coins in his pockets or something. I don't know.
Like, what's going on? Big wallet back there?
What? Like, why? Maybe he just has no ass. It just fall down. Gravity.
Mark Andrews set the record for Ravens touchdowns in this game with 48. And I was like, you know what? That's not that many.
48.
I know, that is kind of
48?
wild, yeah.
I'm like, Odell beat that in like 5 seasons.
I know.
Like,
5 seasons. With,
Odell got
9,
55 like 6 years ago. Anyway. All right. It's so over. We're so back. I got to tell you, it is so over for like half the young quarterbacks in the NFL. This week was abominable. We mentioned Anthony Richardson was abominable today for the Colts off a bye. Bo Nix, I thought this was probably Bo Nix's worst game of the whole year, maybe. Bryce Young totally fell back to earth versus Dallas. Bryce Young had 4 turnovers and took 6 sacks. And they were kind of almost all his fault, or just Micah Parsons. It was like watching like a shark fighting seals. Like Bryce Young had no fucking chance in this game. And then worst of all, Will Levis played the Bengals, maybe the worst defense in the NFL.
Will Levis game of all time.
Got benched for Mason Rudolph. Will Levis, this is an unbelievable note, also from Tristan Cockcroft at ESPN. Will Levis had the worst fantasy performance in 3 years.
Negative 4 something points.
Negative 4.5 points, which is preposterous. You know how hard that is to do? You know how hard it is to have more than negative 4 points in a football game?
As a quarterback. Yeah.
Basically, like he was like every other completion was a pick today. Pretty much.
That is
he had 8 completions
hard.
and 3 picks.
8 of 12 for 89 yards, 3 picks, and a lost fumble.
Yeah.
He is now tied for the league lead with 17 turnovers. Kirk Cousins is the other one. 12 touchdowns, 12 picks, 5 lost fumbles. Only Deshaun Watson this year has a worse success rate than Will Levis, 35%. The Titans are on track for the 5th pick, I think.
Yeah, it is so over.
It's Jover, I believe.
You know who else it's over for? It's over for our guy, Jameis Winston. It's over.
I know. God, it's a bummer.
It was a really fun couple of months. We'll all remember it. He's kind of like the interim coach of quarterbacks. Where he kind of, the starter goes down.
Yeah.
He comes in. He gets a nice win right out the gate. You know, which they beat the Ravens his first start of the year. Everyone's like, wow, Jameis. There's like maybe it could be this year. Maybe it's Jameis's year. Maybe this is the right offense. Wheels start to come off. They stick with him too long.
I want to correct a take I had earlier where I said that more than any quarterback, Baker Mayfield rips passes downfield. Jameis Winston, he fucking rips passes all game long. No concern for who's down there.
No. Craig,
or who's standing in the way.
Craig is really onto something here. Jameis Winston is the interim quarterback.
Yeah, he is. And because there's something amazing about, there's always like an entertaining element to it, right? Like Jeff Saturday, Antonio Pierce, Rizzler. What was the other Raiders guy that the Bill they called the pit boss? He had the Italian name.
I was going to call him Scaramucci.
Bisaccia or something?
Bisaccia.
That guy was fun. He had like the crazy hair. There's always an element of like, wow, this guy's a character. And that's what Jameis has, that aura.
And you start learning, like, oh, they clogged the toilet, got the guys riled up. And we're like, cool, they won.
And then by the end, it's like a disaster. And you're like, we cannot re-sign this guy.
I just so desperately wanted him to stop throwing picks because he is so good for the other players on his team in fantasy. It's like he turned Jerry Jeudy into like a top 5 receiver.
Mm-hmm. Well, just because that's because he just throws him the fucking ball.
Well,
Jameis
I know.
Winston is the epitome of
I want more of it.
Dead dove, do not eat. Like, he is so consistently who he is. And like, in a way, it's almost incredible. He has been this guy the whole time. He's never changed, except for when he got LASIK and like threw more touchdowns. But like, he's never changed.
And he's so earnestly trying to change, and he's so aware of how he plays, which is another added element to it, where he's like, man, if I could just stop throwing picks, and he can't.
Dude, he's kind of like, he's like football Sisyphus, but he just no ball, there's no rock. He's just ripping footballs, and he's like, I'm going to do it this time. And he really
gets amnesia. The second he snaps the ball, he's just like back to his baser instincts.
Oh my God.
Did you guys know that next year, if you cut Deshaun Watson, he has $172 million dead money?
What's the salary cap? 250?
His cap number next year is $73 million in 2025, and he's not going to be playing. And if he's going to be playing, he's going to be terrible.
No, they can't. I mean, again, he was the worst quarterback in the NFL.
$2.9 million cap it.
He was the worst quarterback in the NFL, and then he tore his Achilles. Like, imagine Deshaun Watson if he can't move. The only quality he had as a quarterback was moving.
I can't even believe how bad that contract is.
It's the worst. It's probably the worst deal in the history of sports that doesn't involve buying a team.
Yeah.
Or selling a team. Yeah. So speaking of which, shit the bed. Like, this is going to have to, unfortunately, fart or shart. You know what?
It's crunch time now.
Playoff edition. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just shit the bed. And it's just, these are just people who shat on your fantasy playoff dreams. And there's nowhere to start except the Thursday Night Football abomination.
I couldn't believe this.
That was Rams-Niners in the rain, and it turned out to be the worst fantasy performance basically all year. Puka Nacua was good. Kyron Williams, everyone else was disaster. I believe there were more punts in the first half of that game than any game all season. And Cooper Kupp had 0 points. No catches for Cooper Kupp in probably one of the most crushing fantasy performances ever.
And the worst part about it is it's to start your week.
Yes, you have 3 days to think about how your fucking best player got nothing for you.
Yeah. Your projections, you have like an 18% chance to win. You're sitting on that for 3 days.
Is it better to actually just lose on Thursday and not have to sweat on Sunday? Or
No, because like the hope isn't dead. The harp is dying embers. Like that's the problem. And you have 3 days. You have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and at half of Thursday thinking, wow, I'm excited that I made the fantasy playoffs. How exciting. Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're just absolutely crushed by the 0, and you have to look at it, but you're still constructing scenarios in your mind that you'll win.
Yeah, I have him in the Ringer League, so I didn't win.
Oh my.
Hunter Long outscored Cooper Kupp.
That's the guy that got in the Ramsey trade. Which
you know who didn't outscore Cooper Kupp? Will Levis.
That's true. Neither did Jameis, actually, for that matter.
Wait, did Jameis get negative points today?
He did in one league. I started him in our league. Our
he had like 150 yards. Right?
No, in our dynasty league, I started him. I got like negative points.
Oh, no, dude, he had negative 0.3 points because he had 3 picks.
Tough choice.
Wow.
Tough choice by me. I sat Aaron Rodgers in favor of Jameis Winston.
Dude.
30-point swing.
Rodgers is back.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, I can't get over it. You're right. They should fucking run it back. What do they got going on? What do you got going on?
What else are you going to do?
It's like when your friend...
That's the whole catchphrase for Jets football 2025. What else are we going to do?
You know when you hear about like a show on Peacock and it's like Wolfman has been given a second season and you're like, what the fuck is Wolfman? How did they get a second season?
Very, very niche like audience. They're very into it.
They should just do it. Sometimes those deals are like they give you a second season, like they won't give you a first. Like the show like negotiates in a second season, but they announce it as though they gave it a second one.
It's
after
actually going to cost us more to not do another season.
It's like, we already paid for it.
It's actually exactly it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right, dude. I actually think this is the funniest possible outcome. Is Rodgers and Devontae playing well enough down the stretch to continue to make $100 million more from them?
It's funny how much your record at the end of a season changes your perception as the months go by. Like if the Jets just lost out and went 3-14, it would obviously look terrible. But if they like get to 6, a couple of months go by, they're 6-11.
Well, they'll be talking about those close losses every year.
Lost a lot of close games, but they ended on a 4-game winning streak. Like you
remember when they beat the Jags as they were quitting on Doug Peterson? Wow.
Man, that was good.
Remember they needed 135 yards from Devontae in the final 4 minutes to get that done?
Mac Jones was dancing like Christina Aguilera after first downs.
What was with that, by the way?
I loved that.
What was with Mac Jones just deciding to be like the fucking main character?
Let's sidebar my intrusive thought here, too.
Oh.
I don't know why, but I find myself rooting for and liking Matt Jones. Mac Jones. I didn't say his fucking name right.
McCorkle?
Mike Jones.
Mike Jones.
No, there's no quarterback in the NFL since Jay Cutler, I think, who plays with more sass than Mac Jones. He's out there just sassing people. Like there was one play where I think he ran for a first down. He gets up and he does this little
dude, he did fucking
pretended to do like a point for the first down, and then he just kind of kept it. He didn't.
It turned into like a Spice Girls move, dude. It was sassy.
And then he's running out of bounds on another play and
my God,
running and waving his arms all around. He's
yeah,
dude, he's out there having a ball.
He was doing this Saquon touchdown celebration, but while he had the ball.
It's you know what I think? You know how you hear all these stories of old-timey baseball players doing a bunch of blow or hard drugs before a game and then pitching a no-hitter.
Doc Ellis.
Mac Jones looked like he was high out there.
Dude, he kind of did look like he was on drugs.
You know what I think it is? I think Mac Jones, his drug is being a backup quarterback. I think he loves it.
I should hate Mac Jones. Everything he does, sliding with his cleats up, bitching at the refs, whining. I should hate him for all intents and purposes. I usually hate people like him. I just, for some reason, I was I like I found myself liking him today. I think
why. He's dude, look, there's no pressure. No one expects me to be good. Our team sucks, and I'm not going to be the starter next year. Let's have a ball.
Isn't this what happened to Baker? All these guys who've gone through the ego death, all these quarterbacks who went through the ego death that were first rounders, and then their careers were basically over. I mean, Mac Jones is from Jacksonville, I believe. He's back
he's
home,
Florida,
basically.
Yeah.
He got traded for a fucking future 6th-round pick, which might as well be exile. And then once they come on the other end of this ego death, some of them just have fun. Baker's having fun, and Mac Jones is not as good as Baker, but shit.
That's what we're doing on it. Heifetz and I have experienced ego death after this fish toss thing, and now we're Mac Jones in it. We're getting sassy.
I'm alive, baby.
You guys have
first down.
This is funny. Anyway, the Jags lost, but that's fine.
Yeah. That was sad.
31 of 46, 294 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's not going to be a starter anytime soon, but I found myself liking him. That was an intrusive thought I had this week.
All right, Craig, who else shit the bed?
Saquon and Derrick Henry, the number 1 and number 2 running backs in fantasy football, each had their worst game of the season. Saquon's tied worst game of the season, but still. Saquon had 8 points, which just kills you. And he got hurt. They didn't really report it. He missed a little bit of time. He came back. They just weren't using him a lot. They used Kenneth Gainwell a lot. And then Derrick Henry, dude, If somebody told you that the Ravens won 35-14
against the Giants,
at minimum, you're like, I don't know, at least 120 yards and minimum 1 touchdown, and probably 2.
Mm-hmm.
And he had 67 scoreless yards, 6 points today. I mean, it's just brutal. All the stats about like when his team wins, how good Derrick Henry is compared to when his team loses. In terms of like what you thought his stat line would be looking at the box score versus what actually happened, this is a disaster, I would say.
Did Justice Hill outscore him?
Yeah, Justice Hill had a touchdown, a long one.
Justice Hill looked like fucking Matt Forte today. But like, I mean, Derrick Henry's was worse because Saquon, I believe you had a 50% chance to get a first round bye if you had Saquon.
I was going to say, Saquon, I hope you were on bye and it was fine.
Henry, dude, Derrick Henry hasn't scored a touchdown in like a month.
3 weeks.
So, yeah.
And they're playing Pittsburgh next week. So even if you did get by, like,
DK will shit the bed.
The Dolphins.
Yeah. God,
all of them.
That was bad.
So here it goes. I'm going to talk about Tua, Tyrique, and Waddle. So the previous 4 games, Tua averaged 25 points per game. One of the best fantasy quarterbacks in football. Today, 6.8. Tua was outscored today. If you started him, Tua was outscored by 3 backup quarterbacks that didn't start the games. Tim Boyle, Spencer Rattler, and Mason Rudolph all outscored Tua. I hate fantasy football. It's the fucking worst. It's fucking annoying. Tyrique last 4, 23, 17, 7, 15. Today he had 4.6 points. Waddle last 4, 16, 9, 24 points, 5 points today. Big goose egg. He got hurt. So I guess you can't really blame him that much, but this was just, oh God, such a brutal, just offensive.
Well, at least the Dolphins won the game.
Did they?
Oh, wait, no, the Texans won 20-12 and ended the Dolphins season. Sorry. That's Carlos. I'm sorry, Carlos. That was really fucked up of me. Do you want to come in here and vent, Carlos?
I mean, yeah, the season's over. It's tragic. I don't know. A lot of Dolphins fans are kind of at the point of like, fire Chris Greer.
What's the vibe with
who's never
McDaniel?
Left? With McDaniel, it's weird because like it's almost like there's like levels. Like there's like the people who are like fire Chris Greer, and then there's people who like fire Greer and McDaniel, and then there's people who are like get rid of Greer, McDaniel, Tua, all of them to start over.
Clean slate.
So I don't know. Like it's
where
tough
you fall.
because
You're the top tier, right?
Yeah, I'm in the fire Chris Greer category. I still think that given an off season to like adjust to whatever happened with the offense this year, I think McDaniel and Tua can probably figure it out.
They better because McDaniel convinced them to give Tua $250 million, and they better. But like Chris Greer has been, I believe Chris Greer has been with the Dolphins since I want to say like the mid 1990s.
Yes, he's been with the organization for a long time.
Damn, really?
He's had the top job since 2016, something like that. And he like this is his build. It's his build, and you know you can argue about whether it's a complete failure or not, but I mean it certainly is starting to look like it. Like
Carlos, we're really hard on Tua. Yeah. We're really hard on Tua.
We know.
And by we, I mean Craig and I. DK defends him half because he believes and half because he wants to be against Craig and I. Carlos. My interpretation is that, what am I wrong? Thought I kind of nailed the ratio there. But Carlos, I thought Tua was like playing pretty well and then like very quickly super not well. What was your honest take on how Tua played today as like a strong Tua defender?
Do you have an intrusive thought about Tua or no?
Yeah, what was your intrusive thoughts watching the three interceptions that ended the game?
The intrusive thought is that it's all the tropes are true. Like it's like he just can't beat good teams, and I think that there might be something to that because like good teams typically play a lot more man coverage and press man, and that messes up everything that Tua does because what Tua does well is the timing, anticipation, and like all of that stuff, and just getting the ball out on time. But when you have a lot of press man, that's just that can't happen. And then there's a lot of tighter windows. He has to try to fit the ball into places where he just doesn't have the arm to do. And he doesn't have the legs to make teams pay for playing that kind of defense. So it's just, I don't know, like maybe there's just something to that. And this game reminded me a lot of that Christmas Day game last year, or was it 2 years ago, against the Packers, where he just like inexplicably threw 3 interceptions and, in like a major game that they needed, and
It just crumbled.
And that just can't happen, and I just don't know what the answer is, because it's like, okay, like we're now he wins too many games for it to like.
It's a weird purgatory, right?
You're in no man's land a little bit.
Do? Exactly. Well, but the thing is, the Dolphins have been in no man's land since I have been alive. So, like,
when was last playoff win again?
2001.
Ugh.
Mike McDaniel is 3-15 against teams with a record above 500.
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah.
That's one of those things where it's like when you do self-reflection and self-scouting in the offseason, you're like, okay, so here's the deal. We need to figure out how to beat good teams. Where do you start there? What do you do?
Well, fix the offensive line, which Chris Greer can't do. So, like, again, which is why I'm on the Chris Greer train.
So, Chris Greer joined the team in the year 2000 as a scout. So literally,
so Chris Greer's the problem.
Basically, since he's been there, they've never been
common
good.
Denominator.
That is, dude. Oh my God. I
look. And I once again will plead. This is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll leave you guys alone. I once again will plead my case for, and don't give me this. Oh, they're from Florida. Nobody like the Dolphins fans are miserable.
Oh, you're saying like, oh, the weather's good.
Like,
they're just at the beach.
Tired of us. Yeah, he's tired of us. Like,
no offense, but
it
like,
drives
we know
me insane when like all these like whenever like people make these like cheeky little articles about how like, oh, the Chargers have the most like tortured fan base, or the Jets have the most, like, it's like, all right, you're like, sure, maybe you have an argument with the Jets, but like the thing is, by the time I started paying attention to football, the Jets were in two back-to-back AFC championship games. Jets fans have success in recent memory. Where's my success? Leave me alone.
I want a piece of it.
Dolphins fans have suffered enough. We need something.
All right, wait. This is an informal count, and I could be wrong. I'm doing this live. 12, 14, 16. I got back of the napkin. I got 14 Dolphins on the roster. Were not alive when the last time they won a playoff game.
Jesus. Oh God.
So, yeah. Sorry about all that.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
All right. Well, there you go, Chris Greer.
The Dolphins were featured prominently in the movie Ace Ventura.
Oh yeah.
No one feels bad because it's like Miami and Minnesota, but like, Miami's.
I'm the only one. They stole the dolphin.
I'll find the porpoise.
You think that's where Jim Irsay got the idea? All right, Carlos. I'm sorry your season's over and your team's awful, but
yeah. See you in the
you
draft.
got sunny Miami. You live in Florida. He doesn't live in Florida.
I don't
That's
live in Florida.
That's the worst part. You don't live in Miami.
Cold where you are.
You got to shovel snow and shit. You fucked up.
See you guys.
Damn. Sorry. Well, on that lovely note.
Wait, what? One more shit the bed. So last week the Bills scored 40 plus points, and Amari Cooper had 14 targets. This week the Bills scored 40 plus points, and Amari Cooper had 0 targets.
That's crazy.
Dude.
Like, even if I am Amari Cooper's time with the Bills has been pretty up and down. So there's a chance last week you didn't start him. And you're like, Jesus, 14 targets. Well, I guess I got to start him in my fantasy playoffs. And then he just murders. He slits your throat.
Dude, fantasy football is the dumbest sport ever. And I know that every week we have an example of how stupid fantasy football is. But this week had one of my favorite examples ever, where someone asked me, and I thought this was the easiest start-sit question I've been asked in a long time. And someone said, should I start
Cooper
Breece
Kupp
Hall?
or no one?
Yeah,
you were
Cooper
like,
Kupp,
that's got to be
Will
Cooper
Levis,
Kupp.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Someone asked me, should I start Breece Hall or Tim Patrick? And I said, I would start Breece Hall.
Yeah.
And literally,
but I thought about it.
It took the Jets being fucking morons and running Breece Hall in for no reason at the end of the game, which was crazy decision. Where this was one of the worst coaching decisions of the week. Basically, the Jets had a minute left, and they could have just ran the clock down to like 20 seconds.
A minute left on the 1 yard line.
The 1 yard line. And literally, like, they should have just taken 3 kneels in a row, and they would have kicked a 20-yard field goal, and they would have, or 18-yard field goal, and they would have just given the Jags back the ball with no timeouts, 17 seconds left. And instead, they ran Breece Hall in. Anyway, that person, I can't tell you the shit I was getting from this person because I told them to do Breece Hall over Tim Patrick. This is the stupidest fucking job in the goddamn world, and I'm thrilled to do it. Yeah. But I can't. Imagine if I'd said Tim Patrick.
Yeah.
Like, what would you guys have thought of me if I told this person to play Tim fucking Patrick over Breece Hall?
If you would have said that, I would have been like, he doesn't speak for the three of us.
Dude, Breece Hall. Anyway, whatever. Tim Patrick was cut like 3 weeks ago.
You should start Breece Hall.
Can you imagine? You should start Breece Hall. They were like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm fucking sure.
It's fucking wild.
Last play of the game.
I might have been the only person to say start Tim Patrick. Dude. It would have crossed my mind.
Tim Patrick is a baller. And Craig's a notorious Breece hater.
My intrusive thought, I always forget now that Jaden Daniels is a rookie.
I get that, actually.
When I watch Washington,
polished.
He's so polished. He has the Jalen Hurts like crazy poised, calm factor. He makes everything look so easy. He escapes defenders in the pocket like Lamar Jackson. Not exactly the same style, but like
he does. He's so nonchalant with it.
Nonchalant. It looks so fucking easy. Like when Kyler does it, it looks a little chaotic. Like
it looks a little chalant when Kyler does it.
Kyler's super chalant when he escapes the rushes. It always looks
super chalant.
Yeah. Jaden makes it look so easy. He's so calm. Like, frankly, like he is like the definition of it looks like it's slowed down for him. It looks like everyone's slower around him, literally.
Yeah.
And he had a play today, like play of the day. And like he just had this crazy scramble where he does that thing that, I mean, Russell Wilson used to do like so well, but I mean, a ton of quarterbacks do it now. But basically, you kind of go left and then right, and you navigate back through your own blockers, and you keep getting like guys caught in traffic, like it's like rakes or whatever, hitting defenders in the face. You go left and right, and you create like 10 seconds. Jaden Daniels does this all the time. He threw a touchdown to Terry McLaurin, but I just don't think of Jaden Daniels in my head as a rookie. Like, I just trust him so much to score, and I know Washington almost lost this game. But anyway, that was my thought, was I just every time I watch Washington, I just keep forgetting that this guy's been in the NFL for 3 months.
Yeah, he's so good. I love, too, how he's unlocked Terry McLaurin. Like, McLaurin's so easy to root for. He had 2 touchdowns today. I don't know if it was the first or the second one, the one that you're talking about where he scrambled around a bunch and hit and found McLaurin.
The first one.
In the end zone. I'm like, first of all, that was probably like a really dangerous pass, but also it was awesome. And like, cause I think McLaurin like ran into Brian Robinson and kind of like hurt.
Yeah, I sure do love Fig Newtons though. Dangerous and inconvenient.
When it works, it's awesome though. And he's just like, I mean, 25 of 31. This is Jalen Daniels, 25 of 31, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also added 66 rushing yards. He's just, man, so hard. And again, he's so hard to stop.
What? Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't finish my thought there. He's so hard to stop on 3rd down and 4th down. Again, this is something we've seen every year or every week. They're just so good on 3rd and 4th down. They're like it's the Eagles' light. What are you laughing about? You see any sexual innuendos?
I can't get over it. Sorry.
So difficult to stop on 3rd and 4th
down. Speaking of which, you did an intrusive text today. We were in the group chat.
Yeah,
and you texted something.
That's my bad.
You had you know, boomers text like "call me," period.
Yeah,
you did
when
that
my
today.
mom texts "call me," I'm like, "Oh fuck!
Oh god, someone's dead." And she's like, "Do you need any milk?"
All right. Right. Can I talk to you about something that's happening in a month?
You'll never guess who I ran into.
What time
today.
are you flying in next month?
Dude, you see the viral stuff where someone's like, I have a game show called It's With Your Mom, and it's called You'll Never Guess Who I Ran Into Today. And you can't guess. Anyway, DK sent a boomer text, and it was Tua. Oh no.
Yeah.
And you meant he threw a fucking pick.
Yeah. I did, now I realize what I did.
We thought he died.
Austin was like on the toilet and like sprinted into the living room with the pants around his ankles.
Yeah. That's my bad. It is funny. It is so funny how like different generations don't know how to emote on over text.
Well, just in general too, but
yeah.
I also love the idea of Austin.
Sorry, Austin, about that.
I love the idea of Austin running in like pants askew and like watching the next play, expecting to just
like in parentheses should say he didn't get hurt.
Yeah,
with everything you say about Tua.
Oh no. Other intrusive thought I had. I'm going to give you guys these intrusive thoughts. Do me a favor. Say the first number that comes to your mind. 3 players in mind for this. Starting with Josh Allen. Where do we have to rank him next year? Give me a number. I said top 15. I said I don't know. I know that's not right, but part of me is like, I don't think you could have Josh Allen later than like 18 or 20 next year.
Yeah, he needs to be a second rounder, and I bet you there are people who will take him in the first.
Yeah, he's a top 18 player. I don't know if that's like good or will win you, but like that's where it's going to go. He's a top 17 pick. My other intrusive thought, if Jameis Winston's the quarterback for the Browns next year, do we have to rank Jerry Jeudy in the fucking top 24? Like,
Yeah,
first rounder.
do we have to? Yeah. But like, do we have to rank him like where Nico Collins was this year? Do we have to do that? We don't have to do that, right?
Well, we have to do that with any Jameis wide receiver. I think that's what we've learned.
But that's what I'm saying. Are we gonna have Jerry fucking Jeudy like the 22nd player in our fucking rank?
You'd have to really swallow your pride there, Heifetz, to put him as like a fourth rounder.
Today I really thought about like next year, and I was like, oh my, like I didn't, it was like reaping, sowing, and I was like, oh fuck. And the other one, dude, if Bucky Irving was a first rounder, where would we put him? 15th?
I know. It's so,
where's he gonna go? 30th?
It's so weird how much we're anchored to somebody's draft stock. Like if he was, I don't know, Bijan Robinson, he just like got drafted in the top 15.
Yeah, same number, 7, everything, same division.
Even even if he was like a second rounder, like think about other second rounders, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, like both of those guys after really good stretches have been like pushed up into the first, second round. But yeah, that's interesting. The problem is like Rachaad White has also been very good lately.
Yeah. Well, Bucky's 15 carries for 117 yards. He did lose 4 yards receiving, which again, kind of hard to do. But yeah, I don't know. But that was just an intrusive thought where I was like, if Bucky Irving was a first round pick, I think I'd take him like 12th.
The Bucks just score so many fucking fantasy points, dude. It's like Mike Evans is going off, Baker's going off. They have 2 running backs that are somehow sustainable. Jalen McMillan's good. Kate Otton's solid.
Bucks play the Cowboys next week, who have no run defense, and like Bucky Irving might surpass 117 yards next week if he's healthy.
He was like, and he was like, he didn't even barely practice this week.
He's again another guy I kind of don't think of as a rookie anymore. I'm like, this dude, he's not practiced. Like, you know how hard it is for a rookie to not practice and then come out and have 117 yards. That doesn't happen a lot.
It's like Cam Hayward doesn't practice, who's like 35 and a Hall of Famer.
It's like rookies who don't practice usually fucking suck. Anyway, all right. Play of the day. The T'Vondre Sweat stiff arm. T'Vondre Sweat. Who
that was so fun.
Big boy. At what? 340? He's a big boy.
Yeah.
This is an incredible stat. This is from True Media. James Foster tweeted that T'Vondre Sweat had a 30-yard fumble return. Longest fumble return in the 21st century for a player who is 330 pounds or more.
And he's 360. I just looked it up.
360? That's a lot. That's how many passing yards Josh Allen did it today. It wasn't a stiff arm as much as he kind of shoved an offensive lineman to the ground like completely. Like he started at their head and he like it was kind of like a UFC move. He head slammed this person to the ground and kept going, but it was an offensive line.
Again, it was
I've never seen anything like
it was like a dad in a backyard with like 5-year-olds playing football.
It looked like those, the viral Thanksgiving videos.
It was like the Hulk.
It was pretty nuts.
It was tripping over kids with the football. Have you ever seen that clip of Gavin Newsom playing basketball with kids in China? And he like tries to cross one over and he like tackles one of them.
No.
You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't seen that. I need to see that.
It's really funny. It's not funny, but it is funny.
Well,
there's a whole Instagram or like Twitter account that's just like kids getting hurt. That's the whole thing. For some reason, it always comes up on my feed like randomly. It's just like a kid getting fucking taken out, like going down a slide at like warp 3 and flying out and like tumbling. It's like, I assume none of the kids are dead, but like, you know.
I stopped laughing externally because I'm afraid of getting canceled, but inside I think it's funny.
No, it's called Kids Getting Hurt, and it's like a bunch of fucking
you're the
kids
dad. I feel weird laughing about that. Yeah, it's like, of course it's funny. It's called Kids Getting Hurt.
All the kids were fine.
Dude, DK, look at the text I just sent you. Look at the thumbnail.
What are the physics on this?
Gavin Newsom, the name of his YouTube video is California Governor Gavin Newsom plows into child while playing.
It's really short. Watch it. It's like the first 10 seconds.
He's like,
he's really nice with it at first.
Oh wait, he's doing the little spin. Oh, he just. Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, he tackles the kid.
That's like every time a lineman gets
and then
a
he's
fumble
like
recovery.
such a politician. He's like,
Tavondre sweats his ass. All right, other plays of the day. Alvin Kamara, the one-handed touchdown catch was unbelievable.
Oh, that was sick.
Dude, we need to get him off the Saints fast.
Dude, yeah, it's funny because it happened quickly where it's like, it was so sick he was on the Saints. And then like, you're like, oh, it kind of sucks he's on the Saints and he'll be there forever.
And like, I think he will age well his game. And I think he wants to play for a long time. He's very like focused on his health. He should be on a good team as a veteran who can contribute.
Yeah. I also want to immediately revise that. I think he'll get cut this year. I don't know why I just said
Didn't he just get
they're
re-signed?
Gonna have to cut him.
They just re-signed him.
Oh yeah, they did. Sorry, that's why I said it. I knew there was a reason. They were gonna have to cut him, and then they decided to re-sign him.
I just Googled Saints re-sign him. Like that's gonna help.
DK's Googling is DK, you are the craziest fucking Googler I've ever. What did you Google? How old am I?
Oh, I literally did Google that.
Remember that 30 Rock joke?
How old am I on your birthday?
God, how old am I?
Remember that 30 Rock joke where it was like Tracy thought Googling meant masturbating, and then it cuts to him being like, Liz Lemon, can I Google myself in your office? And she's like, sure. And he's like, can I use your computer? And she's like, how else are you going to Google yourself? And he was like, thanks.
Heifetz just said I'm the best Googler.
Yeah, that's why it popped in my head. He's like, Heifetz or DK's the best Googler. He's like, ooh, that sounds
Googler.
Sounds like something else.
It's too close to gooning. Yeah.
Oh God, gooning. But wondering when we get there.
There's a basketball player on San Diego State who's really good. He's this young freshman. His name is Magoon Guath. And everybody calls him like Goon, the Gooner, Goon Squad. It's the best.
Oh my God, there's a Goon Squad. They all get t-shirts.
Yeah. I don't think we have gooning in us right now. Are we going to do the gooning thing?
He's awesome.
Are we going to finally address gooning on this show?
Oh my God.
The Goon Squad takes on a whole new meaning now.
Anyway, Kevin Burkhardt today asked Brady, what has he seen from Russell Wilson this year? And this was Brady's response. He's always been a great player in this league, a Super Bowl winner, played in a lot of different offenses, and we've seen a revival here this year. What have you seen from him, Tom? What's he doing? Well, he won a Super Bowl 10 years ago. Great player. Back to you, KB. What? Brady was better today. I'll give him credit.
Greg, do you regret ever doing the whole Tom Brady thing? Because now you have to listen to him really closely every time.
It actually sucks because he did the Steeler game, so I was watching that, but I also wanted to listen to Nance and Romo do the Bills game. And yeah, it stinks. I got to listen to him be like, Calvin Austin kind of makes a cut there. Great throw by Russell Wilson, just outside the stretch of his hands. Close call there, KB. 3rd and 8 coming up. Tough play, though. These guys are tough players. Nobody is taking it easy out there. They're all trying their butts off.
Trying their butt? Did he really say that?
Pretty much.
He had a good anecdote in the game today. He was like talking about how they were lined up against I can't remember, maybe it was TJ Watt, and he was like, yeah, one of my great tackles, Marcus Cannon, he turned around to me and said, Tom, I can't block him.
Oh, about TJ Watt.
Yeah. Who did I say? What did I say?
That's funny.
Yeah.
He had a good thing about Jalen Hurts had a hurt finger on his non-throwing hand.
So Tom's best anecdote so far is just throwing his right tackle under the bus.
He also said that Bill Belichick is not a fuzzy guy, not a warm and fuzzy guy on air.
Am I the only one that thinks Tom, I can't block him? Is so funny.
Tom, I can't block him.
I'm dying out there.
And then Tom was like, well, okay, then we need to do something else.
And then he's like, and I was like, I got to get the ball out quicker.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Look, baby steps.
He was better. He was better today. He had a thing about like, he was like, honestly, if you have a broken finger on your non-throwing hand, he was like, not a big deal.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Worst play of the day.
Dude.
That Colts trick play was bad.
The Colts, so they had a play where Anthony Richardson throws a screen to A.D. Mitchell, and then the plan is for A.D. Mitchell to catch that and then throw it back across the field to Anthony Richardson, and then Anthony Richardson would catch that and then throw it to somebody downfield. I have a little piece of advice for Shane Steichen. If you're calling plays, you can't complete 40% of passes that just require one pass on the play, and you're betting on them completing 3?
He's putting together parlays.
Maybe don't run a play that requires 3 completions in order to work.
It's like plus 1,600 on the fucking
dude. Anthony Richardson completing an out is like a prayer, and you're gonna bet on 3 in a row on the same play.
God, it was like the slowest developing play too. It like took forever,
dude. The guy who Nick Bonito, who low-key, I mean, honestly, might be
like
defensive
a Bonito
player of the
fish?
year. Is he big? Nick Bonito was running with his hands in like the diamond formation. He probably
He's
learned
like
when he
a
was 10 years old for what felt like forever.
Didn't even break stride.
Like,
Thank you.
It looked like it was designed for him.
Did he say yoink when he
What's
caught
that?
it?
What's that drill?
Yoink.
What's that drill in the combine where you run and catch passes?
The gauntlet.
It was the
It
gauntlet.
looked like
He
he
just
was
kept
running the
running.
gauntlet.
He like Forrest Gumped right through.
It looked like he was like photoshopped in.
He like T-boned the ball perfectly, perpendicular, just right through.
I
Thank
think
you.
it's actually like a harder catch than you think.
I don't think if they had practiced that, it could have looked easier for the defense than it did on that play.
It was like a jug machine. Was just running drills with him.
It's like a drill. Dude, DK parlay. That's
Yeah, Craig, that's so
40%
true. You
completion.
can't even
That's a
complete an
parlay.
out.
I don't know. Anthony Richardson was like 5 for 18 at that point. He's like, what if we had a play where we had to complete 3 passes all in one?
Holy shit.
Anyway, that was a tough one. That was a tough play. Which
great.
one's been worse? So the Colts now have 2 notoriously bad plays. The one where I can't even remember what the scenario was, where they've like lined up one guy in the middle of the field and then just
the one with
bowled
McAfee.
over. Yeah.
Dude.
I don't like, that's one of those plays I don't remember any of the details. It was just like you knew immediately
They just
it
had a
wasn't going to
center at
work.
him, and then the idea is you're supposed to check because they're like, oh, they'll only have like one guy here. And then they had 3 and they just didn't change the fucking play.
Right?
They just forgot.
That one remains still more embarrassing, right?
That one's the worst one ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that was funny.
All right. Arthur Smith Award for coach that pissed you off. So the Lions-Bills game with Dan Campbell.
This is the first time I'm like, he jumped the shark.
I think you texted too much dip on the chip.
I think I said this last week, but this is
Too
one
much
of the
dip
worst
in the
decisions I've ever seen.
I was like, there's like 12 minutes left. You're onside kicking. You're down 14. What are you doing?
They were down 14
No, they were down 10.
10.
Oh,
10 points.
I mean, I guess it's still 2 scores, but still like 11
13
plus
minutes
left, down 10.
Yeah.
I think I saw people like defending it like, oh, you haven't been able to stop them yet anyway. But I'm like, okay, but you can't stop trying to stop
Here's
them.
the thing.
You have to keep trying.
I think that this was proof that the Lions, well, I do think they use some analytics. They don't use any analytics. They just use their
He
testicles.
goes with his gut a lot.
Yeah, it's just Dan Campbell is just like, am I a pussy if I punt? And like, I think that's the entire fucking thought.
It's like actually real.
And it's like when the Lions go for it on 4th and 1.
we can punt, but we're not pussies.
Yeah.
See, that word every once in a while really hits. We use it way less now, and that's probably right. But every once in a while, it really plays.
I actually think I used it because I was watching it. So, like, new It's
Am I
Always
a
Sunny this
pussy
week.
if I punt? It's so he's just talking to himself in the sideline. I'm not a fucking pussy if I'm not punting it.
But when the Lions do it for their own 20-yard line, and you're like, this is crazy, like that Packers game. The odds of them getting it are 50% or better of converting.
Right.
The odds of an onside kick in a world where you have to, this is the new rule. You have to declare the onside kick like it's bankruptcy.
There's no
in the
surprise
office.
shit anymore.
You have to tell them you're doing it. The odds of an onside kick are like 3%.
Yeah.
Which
it's like a Hail Mary.
it's like kind of like the worst decision I've ever seen. And like, I know that that's hyperbolic, but if this was Nick Sirianni or any coach we don't like, we would be talking about this as what statistically, it would be like the rare mix where statistically and the nerds and the old school coaches would be able to agree that that's one of the dumbest things you've ever seen.
Yeah, he gets a pass because it's him and
oh, totally. It's the HR meme. It's just like he's hot and cool and we like him, so we don't care. But like onside kicking down 10 to 13 minutes left when Jared Goff threw for 500 fucking yards. Also, they lost by 6 points and the Bills immediately tipped it to themselves, got down to the 5-yard line, scored a touchdown immediately. If they just kicked it, got to stop, the Lions might have won the game.
He tilted for sure.
That was a heat check. That was like literally like in Steph Curry and Dame Lillard in that All-Star game where they just started pulling up from the logo on every possession.
Pete Carroll one time made like a play like this right before the half where he went for it instead of kicking a field goal. And after the game, he said he got hormonal in that moment. And I'm like, yeah, Dan Campbell got hormonal.
6 to midnight. Yeah.
He got horny. He got horny for
thinking with his
for
loins.
going for it. Yeah.
And we also, for other coaches that pissed us off, we mentioned the Jets not kneeling at the end, which was, I liked Aaron Rodgers' honesty, which was, if we were 10-3, we probably would have done that. But 3-10, we wanted a touchdown. I'm like, all right, sure, whatever, nothing.
Or you could have like kneeled twice and then tried to run in a touchdown.
It was really weird. Yeah, literally, even that, you're like, you could have made them use the timeouts.
Yes,
like,
and then you could go for a touchdown on third down or something.
Even if you didn't, it didn't make any fucking sense. Worst ref moment. I again don't think the refs are doing a horrible job compared to previous seasons. I will say though, Washington Saints, I don't know what happened, but the clock froze at the end of the game.
I didn't notice that until somebody tweeted it.
Usually what happens is like it's the TV operator is like messed up and there's like an error and they correct it. They just didn't. They just didn't fix it. And like literally the Saints almost won the game because of this. And then what happens is when there was a ref problem, they can request the refs do a press conference with like one reporter and a couple reporters go.
Yeah. And
they did. And pool reporter Luke Johnson interviewed referee Sean Hockley, our favorite guy. And I'm going to read this because I couldn't believe it. Question was at the end of the game, third to last play, the Saints completed a pass short of the goal line. Clock kept running, and it appeared the clock stopped at 9 seconds. I was wondering if you had an explanation for the stoppage. Sean Hockley says, the covering official mistakenly stopped the clock in that situation. Clock should not have stopped. And then they asked him, was there any consideration of reviewing the stoppage? Was there anything you could have done? He said, nope, not a situation that's reviewable.
He's like, it just kind of got away from me.
Were you aware of the mistake? Hockley, that's all I have for you, Luke.
Okay.
Literally just, yeah. So like, okay, so if the clock, what I learned from this, and I did not know, I've been covering the NFL for a long time now, is that if the clock operator makes a mistake, there is no mechanism to fix it. That's what I learned today from Sean Hockley. That didn't make sense.
When the play clock gets below 5 seconds, play clock, game clock, either clock, why don't they go to why don't they go to decimals? Why don't they go to the 10th? Why isn't it like 2.3 seconds left? Why don't they do that?
You do not want to get into that. You start pulling on that thread.
But they do it in like the NBA.
Yeah, you don't want to.
What is going on with Heifetz right now? Heifetz just got constipated. What happened?
It's like, does it give you a hangover?
You don't want that.
You don't get a hangover.
You know how the NBA has this rule where
it's the
like
cheapest drug there is.
Does the guy running the clock see decimals, but we don't at home?
No.
The dirty truth is actually whether like the X field goal like leaves a second or not on the clock is like totally up to like one person.
I don't know. I just think it's weird that we don't see. I want to see if it's like there's 0.3 seconds.
You know how the NBA like has a rule that you can't get a jump shot off in like less than, I think it's 0.4 of a second.
0.4, yeah.
Imagine the NFL in the era between when they introduce decimals and before they figure out what that number is. Like imagine watching football and we're all arguing about, I don't want to.
I just always think it's weird when like they spike a ball and it's like there's 3 seconds left and I'm like, man, but they almost got to 2. It took that 3. We were lingering on 3 and now it just still says 3. I'm like, it's really like, 2.2 or something. I don't know.
You're right, but dude, I can't live in that world. It's too much. I'm leave me behind in the old world. Also, my other ref thing is what's with Dean Blandino's cuck chair with this Brady booth?
They're leaning in now. They're making it a bit. It's dead.
Cuck chair,
it's over.
Did you say?
It's over.
He just is in the corner.
But now they're self-aware and it's not funny anymore.
Why is he there? Dean Blandino does a little wave. Like he's like anti-Mac Jones. He has no energy. It's really weird.
He's like this in the corner.
He's just like, what the fuck is he doing?
You guys remember that character Owen from Parks and Rec? It's a really niche reference.
I've never seen Parks and Rec. Well,
I've only seen
Parks
like
and
the
Rec,
first
but
season.
I don't know.
Parks and Rec.
Never
I need to
mind,
finish
man.
it. People get mad at me about this. Yeah.
I know. All right. Lucille Bluth, I don't understand the stat line. Won't respond to what you mentioned. Will Levis has negative fucking 4 points, which is impossible. You mentioned the Saints had 38 yards in the first half, which is impossible.
Also, it's Oren, not Owen. Sorry.
I have one other stat I wanted to mention to you guys, but do you have anything else?
The Ravens have more red zone touchdowns than Giants have red zone drives. That's a fun one.
Depends on your definition of fun.
They can't score touchdowns.
DK, that joke.
No, they can't even get into the red zone.
You know
and
what's
also
up?
never score touchdowns.
DK's joke, that's like 5 years old.
I know. It was like Daniel Jones can't throw touchdowns. That was like
that
2020.
Joke is
and he's basically still on the team. Yeah.
that joke, oh my, it like predates the whatever, man. This isn't a stat I don't understand, but just the thing. So Deal or No Deal Island, you guys see the commercials for Deal or No Deal Island?
I did. Did you say you watched that show?
No, I love it. I think so. There are so many dumb reboots, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's
Is
Deal
it
or No
new
Deal.
or has it been running?
Wait, you do
I
watch
don't
it or
know.
you don't watch it?
Is it on yet? I thought it was like coming.
Oh, I didn't know if it was like season 3 or something. Is it a new?
I'm unaware.
Is it new?
No, they're rebooting it. I think this is brilliant. And
Yeah.
if you don't know what we're
Rebooting
talking
it?
about, obviously you've
They're
probably heard of
rebooting Deal or No Deal, but they're putting them on an island, which
Oh,
every
right.
show should just be on an
It's
island. Everything's
Deal or No
better
Deal,
on an
it's
island.
like Survivor. It's like if you know Survivor,
Jeopardy on an island.
yeah, they should.
Yeah,
you know
just do
Survivor,
that.
like they have to find the totems in Survivor sometimes. They're like, what if that part of Survivor was Deal or No Deal, and you just have to find cases and then play Deal or No Deal with
What's funny
cases
is,
you
like,
find in Survivor.
Within Survivor, there is usually a competition once a season that is Deal or No Deal. They just decided to make that a whole show.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
like, I actually think there are so many dumb things that get broken out. And like, why are you rebooting this? Why are you rebooting that? This is what reboots should be, which is like, what if Deal or No Deal was on Survivor? And I'm like, you know what? That's awesome.
That's like
I
after
love
Die Hard
that.
came out, they were just like, Die Hard on a boat, under
Dude,
siege.
yes!
Die Hard on a plane. It's,
It's
you know,
sick.
Yeah.
I love that. Shout out Deal or No Deal Island.
literally
Okay.
they just put everything on an island. White Lotus,
Burn.
it works.
Burn book. Dude, okay, so we've burned in reverse order Marvin Harrison Jr., CJ Stroud and Tank Dell, Debo Samuel, who, God, I wish we could burn him again, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Jalen Waddle,
Fire.
Patrick Mahomes, Travis Etienne, Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, DeAndre Swift.
We don't
Christian
talk
Kirk,
about that.
Deshaun Watson.
Craig, who did you say that about?
Tank
Don't worry
Dell.
about it.
Another big day for Tank.
6 points.
Can I just say Marvin Harrison today, 4 points.
He was outscored by Greg Dortch. Thought we were past that.
Handily outscored by Greg
Dortch was the one who fumbled the thing into the end zone, and that guy caught it. Or
Jonah
the-
Williams.
What
Yeah.
if I had the reason that I love the take purge so much and when we do it is, can you imagine if I'd come on and said, not only will Jerry Jeudy like double Marvin Harrison Jr. in fantasy points this year or whatever, but Marvin how much higher are we going to rank Jerry Jeudy over Marvin Harrison Jr. next year? 20 spots?
You know what's funny is it's going to be
30?
his season will feel worse than it looks on the stat sheet.
He's a
because
good rookie receiver.
he's going to end the season with like 800, 900 yards and like 8
It's a
touchdowns.
good year.
And you'll be like, oh, but when you're watching it, it's a disaster, especially the last
I'm going to
month.
buy the dip hard on this
Marvin
one
Harrison
next year.
Jr. is on the list of things that we were right about, like, because we were much lower on him than everyone else, because frankly, I think him going 16th was fucking preposterous because he's a rookie. And it's on the list of things we were right about that doesn't matter because I made us really low in Jamar Chase. So just put it on that list.
Hey, at
of
least I
things
was
that
here.
Irrelevant. Batting averages. All right. We're burning Cooper Kupp, right? There's no coming back from 0 points. Right? Do you have anyone else?
Should we just burn
I
all
think
the
it
people who
makes
put up
sense.
0?
Dude, yeah.
I think we should burn Cooper Kupp because here's how I look at it. Last year, he was one of the worst picks in fantasy, full stop. Like, remember how he had like the hamstring thing in preseason? We didn't really know how serious it was. Heifetz, to your credit, you were really nervous about this, and I was like, he'll be fine.
And then he had like a high ankle.
And then he like missed like 3/4 of the year, and then even when he was back in, he had like 3 or 4 bad games.
He
was
flew to a
literally
specialist in Minnesota that like had no affiliation with the team, and I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, he had one. He was one of the worst picks. Like, he fucked your season last year. This year, he was clearly better than that, but he fucked you again in the playoffs. So I'm not feeling good feelings for Cooper Kupp right now.
I love Cooper Kupp.
I don't think there's another candidate. He had no points.
Wow. Now you're attacking him personally.
Gotta shave that damn thing off.
I kind of agree. It looks awful. It's cool when you have catches. It's like Mike McDaniel's personality. That works when you're crushing.
Now the tuxedos are kind of fucked up.
I love Cooper Kupp.
The tuxedos are kind of fucked up.
I won't officially vote him to be in the burn book, but you two can, and then majority rules. But I don't want my name to be written.
Do you have any other candidates? I think Amari Cooper could go in there.
Hey, he also had 0, but he hasn't been that good.
Anyone had no points today can go in.
Yeah. Najee Harris, 2 points today. Yeah.
Who?
Najee.
Who?
Najee had 2 points. It's Cooper Kupp.
Let's do Cooper Kupp and Amari. I mean, that makes sense. But I'm not voting for Cooper Kupp.
It's Kupp and Amari.
I simply can't.
He's abstaining.
Yeah. Okay. Cooper Kupp, you're in the burn book. It looks weird, but we're doing it. All right. Thank you, everyone. Emails, ringerfantasyfootball@gmail.com. Emails trivia. Emails fantasy courts. Email us things your mom or parents or any boomers texted you that sounded urgent and what they ultimately wanted that were funny stories.
Just a pit in your stomach when you see the text.
So it's like, call me, period. No. And it's just like, I ran into your high school science teacher.
Remind me when you're taking vacation days in July.
I got that today. My dad said, call me, period, at 12:45 before the games. And I'm like, oh God, who's in the hospital?
Yeah.
Call him. We got to put money on the Commanders.
He's right. Well, was he? I don't know.
It was not
close
right.
game.
It didn't cover.
It was not right. You fucking lost.
Did you put money on the Commanders?
You want another fucking truth? We teased them with the Ravens down to 1.5. You know they lost by fucking
1.5.
I don't want. It was. I'm just unhappy with many parts of the call. Many aspects of it.
Are your calls with your dad or are arguments more contentious? I feel like I'd be more uncomfortable listening to you and your dad argue.
Our conversations would stress you out, but I'm fine with them.
Right.
But you wouldn't like listen.
You were born in it.
Yeah, I was molded in the dark.
I was just like, doesn't faze me. All right. Thank you, DK. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Kai and Carlos. Thank you, Austin. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Sabrina Carpenter. This one's for you guys because I don't know anything about her. This generation's Britney Spears?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Don't.
Sorry.
Shut your mouth.
Christina Aguilera.
No.
No.
Okay. I don't have any others. Katy Perry.
Closer, but no.
Okay.
It's like what Katy Perry wanted to be, which is like interesting.
Katy Perry played like a Super Bowl. Like she's really famous.
Yeah, but
fucking Left Shark. God damn, that was like the best.
That was the first guest we ever wanted on this show, was Left Shark.
I know, yeah.
Like one of my favorite memories of all time.
I doubt Kendrick Lamar will have Left Shark.
Was it Left Shark or Right Shark? I think
it was Left
Shark. Dude, it was Left Shark.
Come on.
Dude, that's like...
Right?
Like,
if it was Right Shark, it wouldn't have been popular.
It wouldn't have worked. It never would have worked.
It doesn't roll off the tongue. Right Shark. We're out.
Right Shark doesn't even get on the Today Show.
And if it was Middle Shark, no shot in hell.
Get the fuck out. Middle Shark kind of hits. Left Shark.
Power ranking
right,
it goes Left Shark, Middle Shark, Right Shark.
Yeah.
This segment was a fart or shark.
Goodbye, everyone.